one story that I read early on in our marriage is it was the first chapter of the book. It was a marriage study that my wife and I were doing.
Mhm.
And it basically said you can take a rock and you can throw that rock up and it's going to come down. You could take that rock and you can put it on a rocket ship
Mhm.
and it will launch, but it can only go so far and eventually gravity is going to pull it back down.
Right.
And apart from God, that's the only thing. That rock represents, it can represent anything. It can represent your marriage, it can represent your business, it could represent a multitude of things in your life that you're basically just trying to carry yourself.
Mhm.
And I'm not a good God. I'm a terrible
Yeah, me
God,
either.
and I think
The
it's
personal
so
will
easy for us
doesn't.
as humans to play God, right? Like we want to play
Yeah.
God. We only need
Yeah.
God. We treat God like a superhero. It's like, hey,
Right.
I only need to put the bat signal out when everything's bad, but when it's not bad, I'll be my own Batman. And it just doesn't
Yeah.
work. I mean, it works for a little while, but it won't work. I mean, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, because eventually, like you said, something will happen, and apart from faith, you will crumble.
Yeah.
You will.
Which is interesting because that's actually, until you understand this, until it clicks into place, like in your body, that's what's supposed to happen. Because as you crumble, each time you crumble, you realize, oh, I actually can't. I can't hold this. This personal ego self can't hold this. And so that's when it's like, it's only in desperation at first that you finally turn around and you're like, okay, God, spirit, universe, whatever it is you call that greater force, whatever each individual calls that. It's like, I'm ready to surrender. I'm ready to like give this personal will over to your will and let you guide me, and do that on a daily basis. That's something I'm really, this year is like foundational for me. Is, I know I've always been into spiritual modalities and stuff, but to really surrender and let go on a daily basis and give my will consciously and invite God, spirit consciously into my life when things are bad, but mostly when things are going great. Because like if I want them to keep going great, then I have to have that inner stability. And even if things fall apart outside, like you said, when you have that inner stability and you've removed those blocks, it doesn't, like, yes, you're going to take the right action, but you have clarity and you have that strength of faith and knowing that you're going to be taken care of to make the right moves. Because when you're living in fear and stuff crumbles outside of you, you're like, oh my God, I've lost everything. And that's what my whole core was built on.
Right.
And so then you become very unstable. And so this is a natural progression though, right? So this whole story you told showed that, how you went from those lower states to then finding God, to then making money and like being driven out of fear, to now what you told me before we got on the call was like, dude, my life's better than it's ever been. And I literally took 12 days off last year and still made almost 100 grand. Like,
It's
right.
insane.
I hope you don't mind if I
Oh no,
say that.
absolutely. And
Number
that's the
on that.
thing. It's like, no, I don't mind sharing that at all.